Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Nathalie Saunderson, and this is an opportunity for you to explore and experiment with your yoga practice. And what I offer is every single class is going to be addressing a different layer of the practice. Almost always we'll be doing something physical, but we're also inquiring as we continue to have a yoga practice, what are we doing underneath the surface of the physical? How are we operating our thoughts? How are we utilizing our moods to alchemize them and integrate? How are we creating energy, shifting energy, releasing energy? And most importantly, what is true for us today? And this has become such an important key piece to what I have to share and teach, in that your only job on the mat is to be as authentic and truthful with yourself first before anything else. And sometimes that's going to take you to places that might not be as peaceful or yogic or whatever it is that you respond to finding out about yourself. It's all a part of the beautiful process back to wholeness. And yoga has changed for me so much so, in that there's a couple of topics that I really love to share and break down. And one of the topics that I wanted to talk to you about today is specifically this idea of fear and how fear shows up on the mat, how we operate when we're feeling vulnerable, what we respond to as a culture when we're being vulnerable as people, and becoming more clear that fear actually has a purpose. And the purpose is usually not to run away from a speeding car chase or worry about getting sick for the rest of your life. Fear is a very, very, very good signpost in your journey to show you where you have beliefs that are held somewhere in time. And the belief is often either been passed to you, maybe it's come from an experience that happened to you in your past previously. Fear is often very magnetic and magnetized to other people who are holding the same fear. And so we can start to think that living in fear is actually a wise thing to do. And we can link it sometimes to the idea of awareness, when really fear is a built-in survival mechanism that helps us remain safe, but it can also hugely hold us back from experiencing a type of living that is not based in fear and that is more available to a more kind of collective experience of life itself. When you have your attention honed into being afraid of something, and I'll give you an example of living in Bali, and I'm not the biggest fan of snakes. Don't have any phobias, but I'm pretty aware when we're walking through, fields. But if I was to let that fear stop me from walking through fields or new pathways or onto leaves that I can't see everything, or if I was to transfer that fear to my daughter, telling her all the time to watch out for snakes and making it all about snakes, I would probably miss the birds that were a little higher up in my view in the palm trees. I might miss the hue of the sky. I might miss observing my daughter and noticing how she's feeling in that moment. I might miss just feeling relaxed and good in my body because I'm in nature and I'm just having some downtime. I am going to be pulling my experience in that moment into the possibility, not even the reality, the possibility of something. And it is kind of like taking your experience in the moment and stepping outside of your physical experience into a possible experience. So it's almost as if you remove yourself from what's actually happening in real time. Real time being whatever you can sense and perceive around you in the moment. Now, sometimes our fear is very intelligent, and it can actually be speaking to us intuitively before something comes into real time. And in that sense, the most accurate way to work with intuition is to actually continue to keep a pretty clear baseline of awareness, meaning as soon as you start to think about snakes, observe and catch yourself that you're thinking about it, right? And then come back to in the moment. Is there anything in this moment that makes me feel like I need to start worrying or thinking in this way? No? Okay. I'm going to observe if it comes up again. Maybe I'll pay more attention. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll work this pattern today. Ultimately, our bodies are able to sense and perceive so much more than what we think they can. And when you start to unravel where your fears are coming from, whether they're around some of the most common topics, health, relationships, money, death, and loneliness. And one of the most empowering ways you can observe your experience of life is to not necessarily berate yourself for where you're holding fear, but to recognize that those areas of your life are actually wanting your attention. They're wanting more love, more acceptance. They're honestly almost always wanting you to pay attention in a way that might feel uncomfortable at first, but that you can start to understand and distill why I have that fear. What action is it going to require me to take in real time in my life so that I don't have the same amount of energy trapped in that fear? And this is an ongoing process that we will be asked to look at as we grow as people, as we grow in terms of how we show up, as we grow in terms of what we can access in the world, our roles, what we have, how many people are in our lives. It will almost always bump up against our edges. And that is a good thing because it allows us to recognize what parts of me are growing and what parts of me need more support as I grow. I hope this was helpful for you today. I am always open to any comments down below. If you love to hear anything related to your spiritual practices and your yoga practice, please do subscribe to the link below, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.